Alright, so today I'd like to go over some double attack trait issues. Earlier today on Reddit, someone posted asking whether or not medals like Stitch and Sephiroth would deal more damage the more special attacks used in succession would reach that maximum multiplier from using medals that have the extra attack skill. So, second attack is very useful and has been recommended as being the most favorable trait to have on a lot of damage medals for the past few weeks ever since the traits came out, but I don't think anyone's really questioned this specific thing before or tested it. So I was insanely curious and decided to test it myself. So I have these two medals which both have extra attack on them. They're unfortunately the only ones I've rolled with their attack above 3 stars, so slightly disappointing. This one has just strength, and this one has max gauges +2, so neither one of those are particularly useful. They're just there so that I can have the maximum of 4. And then I have Stitch, which doesn't have a trait or a skill. I was running this with my Sephiroth earlier, but he has an attack boost. He was one of my best medals when I first joined, and it just was not working out very well. Just RNG was going insane, whether the attack boost would trigger or wouldn't trigger, all of that sort of thing. Yeah, so I'm going to run this a few times because RNG and critical hits do actually play a factor in this game. It's not obvious because they don't say, oh yes, you got a critical hit right now, but critical hits do exist. That's why we have the critical hit perk on some of our avatar items. Yeah, so I'm just gonna go through and do this a few times. I've actually already done a few runs by myself, and so I've been saving the data from the final hits on all of these. It's a little bit disappointing, to be honest. So I'm going to run through the max specials that you need to use is 4, because that means that the highest multiplier for medals like Stitch and Sephiroth can be achieved when you have all 4 specials in the previous slots being used and having the medal in the 5th slot. So, yeah. And I was not paying attention to that, so I'm going to rewatch this video and add that to my stats later. But basically it's, you have to use 4 specials and then the medal in question, and that final attack is dependent on the multiplier that's dependent on how many specials you used previously. So I've been keeping track of the past 6 runs or so for using all specials and for only using the double attack trait ones. So if you're watching this, I'm just gonna demonstrate how I've been testing this, and then I'm probably going to run through it a few more times myself and just skip through and just only show the final attack on a few of these. Basically that's what I'm going to do, but I'm gonna add a little bit of commentary here right now though, so this map is one that has a lot of the Heartless that just kind of pop out of nowhere, you don't see them, they just portal in. And so for that type of map, it's really annoying to get the all enemies defeated objective down, but it doesn't really work for this map because this map is all one room. But if you have that objective on a different map that is multiple rooms, then what you can do is, okay, so 466 for only using 2 traits, which is about average for that. So what you can do is, when you leave a room, or enter a room, or start the quest, and you have sound on, then the Heartless spawn noise spawns every time you enter the room. So if it's multiple rooms, then what you can do is you can exit into a different area and then come back to it later, and that noise will trigger if there's still a Heartless there. If you've already killed all of them, then it will be silent and all you'll hear is the background noise for the world. So that's useful, that is something you can do. And now I'm just gonna, Now I'm just gonna go and run through this a few different times, and I'll edit this and skip through to show you only the last hits to make sure that I'm not fudging the data, and then I will get back to this in a little bit. Okay, so fast forward. Okay, so after running through this 8 times both ways, admittedly not the best way of making statistics, but it's not terribly far off from 10, which often is like as many as you need. Yeah. So if I'm using all of the specials, then oftentimes I end up with like 490 or higher. Like half the times I've ended up with over 490. And if I'm doing double trait specials, then half the times I don't even reach 480. So either RNG is really, really terrible for me in exactly that skewed way, or the 2 times special trait attack just it doesn't work for these special requirement medals at all. So honestly disappointing, because that would have been something that would be really cool, and like yes, we've had a lot of really game-changing aspects coming out recently, so maybe having this still be something that is required like could be seen as being more of an even ground, but at the same time, if you're already doing this much changing, then you might as well have that work, because it only makes sense with the description for the attack. But yeah, so unfortunately, the second attack does not count towards specials that require a certain number of specials in succession for their maximum gauge. Sucks. Yeah. Of course, if, you found out that in your gameplay something different is happening, so maybe my setup is doing something wrong. I mean, admittedly, this is not necessarily the best boss to be using. It gives very small numbers, but I like the small numbers because, like, it's less confusing, it's easier to, like, generalize just from glancing through. Like, when it's a few thousand, and, like, all of the randomness put together sometimes like makes it a little bit harder to find the trend at first. Like I said, randomness and critical hits are a thing in this game. So I mean, you might look at it and think, oh, this is doing like about the same the 2 times that I ran it. But you might just want to run it again. RNG is a huge factor. I'm part of the reason why high score challenges are always such a pain. You have to go through them so many times, because RNG is just so big in this game. I really wish they were more transparent with these sorts of things, but they aren't. So yes, if you're more curious about my statistics, then I do have the runs from all of mine saved. Only a few of these are in the video because I was running some of them before the video so that I could figure out like what kind of setup I wanted to be using for this sort of thing. So like I said, I was using Sephiroth at first with an attack that just wasn't working very well. So yes, I do have information from about 10 runs with Stitch, because that was way easier. Yeah, so disappointing, but we will go on. Hopefully this won't completely ruin the game for you. So I hope that you continue to enjoy playing, Kingdom Hearts Union Cross now that it's Union Cross. And if you have any questions, if you have anything else you'd like me to test, feel free to comment. Subscribe if, you want to see more of this sort of thing in the future. I said this on my previous video, I'll say it again here. I play both the global and JP versions. So any questions from any of those are fine. They use the same, like, basic gameplay, like, the same mathematics and formulas go into it, so that's not really a big deal. But if you want me to be testing something on the Japanese server, then I can do that for you. And so like I said, just feel free to comment, subscribe, and enjoy your game. Yeah.